Hello students, today we are going to see 4 games from the classical attacking games. So let's start. The first game is between Matanovic and Spassky. This game was really amazing. D4, knight f6, knight f3, e6, bishop g5, c5, e3, d5, knight bd2, knight c6, c3, h6, bishop h4, c into d4, e into d4, bishop e7, bishop to d3. Everything final till now. White can now castle, play rook to e1, then bombard this e file. So knight h5, bishop into e7, queen into e7, castle. Now rook e1, and and things can happen here. Knight to f4, attacking this bishop. Yeah. White doesn't want to exchange the bishop. He plays bishop to c2, queen to f6, rook to e1, castle, g3. Now knight to g6. Well, now everything is fine for both sides. You can, play knight to e5, then d into e5, then white can get the other knight to f3, then h4, then queen d3, and then some threats, some chances of attack here for white. Queen e2, b6, h4, h5, and things like that are going to happen in the future. So rook e8, knight to e5, knight into e5, d into e5, queen to e7, knight to f3, a5, knight to d4, bishop to d7. Now bishop to d3, bishop to b5, and then things like knight to c6 and everything is threatened. So now rook a b8 posted, a4, knight to f8, f4, rook e c8, king to h2, queen to e8. Now f6, g5, f into e5, then g into h4, queen to h5, queen into h4. Everything is threatened over here. So g4, knight g6. Now black attacks the f4 pawn and the h4 pawn. Now queen to f2, queen to e7, h5, knight to f8, rook to g1, f6, rook a e1, bishop into a4, queen to d3, bishop to e8. Now g5, then g into f6, then e into f6, d into h6. Everything is threatened. So e into f6 was played in the game. Queen into f6, rook to e5, threatening g5, queen f7. Spassky, was in his own form, had played g5. So black played queen into h5 check, king to g2, h into g5, f into g5, queen to f7, rook to f1, queen to e7, g6, rook to c4, rook to h5. Now rook h8 is, things like that are threatened. Rook into d4, and now brilliant finishing blow, rook into f8 check. Very astonishing game by Spassky. He just got the initiative for nothing, and then black resigned. It was literally nuts how a strong player like Matanovic was crushed. Yeah. So if you here going to the position, if you play queen into f8, then another strong blow rook h8, and then it's over after queen h3, and then queen h7 mate is written. So well, that's why they resigned, I mean. So getting on to the next game, who doesn't enjoy a Tal game? Tal versus Ullman. Ready for some blows? This game will be nuts. e4, e6, d4, d5, knight d2. I myself played these structures against the French. c5, knight gf3, knight to c6, bishop to c4, bishop to b5, d into e4. Now, well, so interesting things have happened. Black has exchanged his central d5 pawn for white's d4 pawn, and white took here. So now white has one central pawn on the downtown. Yeah, the these four squares, and black no black doesn't have a pawn. So white has a strategical advantage. A very slight one, but a strategical advantage, I think. And also he has a lead in development. Black has developed one. Actually, it can't say that black has developed any piece. Why? Because this bishop is still passive over here. Nothing it's doing. Yeah, on this d7, and I don't think this knight is doing anything on here. So we can say that black has only one developed piece, this knight, because it's is natural and the best square for the beginning. So now, what will you play? Queen a5 check, okay, and no, knight to c3, c into d4, knight into d4, bishop to b4. Now this c3 knight is attacked, like very messy position on the board. What, like, we can't say what is going on the board. This b5 bishop is threatened a little bit. This knight is pinned. Yeah, this bishop is going to be something like a6, and then this bishop is going to be hanging, like it's very messy. Castle, and Mikhail Tal adding fuel to the fire, sacrifices a pawn, as he does often. A into c3, b into c3, queen into c3. Now, can you find the move which he played? If not, then no problem. If you can, then, ladies and gentlemen, he played the move knight to f5. He did a sacrifice. Let me tell you the definition of the sacrifice. Many chess players, yeah, daydream of sacrificing the queen, like Mikhail Tal, yeah, and they try to do so, but sacrifice is not about just tossing pieces out of the board. It's a art, yeah, which you have to master to sacrifice like Mikhail Tal. He famously said that some sacrifices are sound, the rest are mine. Famous quote by Mikhail Tal. Yeah. So you have to learn the art of sacrificing. When to sacrifice? When it's an open file, so that I can sacrifice everything. Yeah. A into f5, rook e1 check, bishop to e6, bishop to d, queen to d6, a6, bishop to d2. No, it's not a piece sacrifice. Black's queen is under attack. queen into c2, bishop to b4. Now another another piece toss out of the board, not really actually. A into b5, queen f8 check, king to d7, rook a d1 check, king to c7, queen into a8. So brilliant. Tal sacrificed two pieces and then one. So the main things of this game were that main teachings of this game were that sacrifice is not tossing the pieces out of the board. You need to learn the art when to sacrifice. Is there an open file to get counter play? Can the opponent bring his reserves in time? Does opponent have a counter sacrifice? Everything you have to think. Yeah, it's a art to master, I will say. So, well, this was the game. Going on to the next one. Kasparov versus Georgiou. Legendary Romanian. I think Georgian or Romanian. I don't know his federation. But legendary Grandmaster Florin Georgiou played against Kasparov in this epic battle. Kasparov, as always, is utter legendary, so he won the game in 27 moves. Let's see how d4, knight f6. This game illustrates the price of not castling. c4, e6, knight f3, p6, a3. This is the Kasparov system, if I am not wrong. a3 or knight c3, some kind of that is the Kasparov one, I think. See, Petrosian variation, it must be Kasparov. I mean, I think knight c3 is the Kasparov. Yeah, knight c3 is the Kasparov variation, if I am not wrong. Yeah, Kasparov variation. See, the line invented by Kasparov. So bishop to b7 was played in the game after a3. Knight to c3, and see, now it's the Kasparov Petrosian variation. Why? Because you have both played a3, oops, sorry, and knight c3. That's why it's the Kasparov Petrosian variation. d5, c into d5, knight into d5. Now it seems like well, it's an exchange, everything is fine. If we see this, then it tells that this is the Queen's Indian Defense Kasparov Petrosian variation, and in the Kasparov Petrosian variation, this is the modern variation. So now it shows that it is a Kasparov attack. c5. Now e4. Many moves have happened. Now this d5 knight is under attack. White has the better center. His pieces are developed. So summing a good position for so still it's the Kasparov attack. Now b into c3, bishop to e7, bishop b5 check. See, Kasparov versus Georgiou, Florin Georgiou. This game is legendary game, yeah. The latest database shows 2675 versus 2535. Now it's which attack? Okay, Kasparov attack still continuing. Bishop to c6, bishop to d3. So funny is that the latest database goes on to 25. The latest opening explorer goes on to 25 move, and the game ended on the 27th. So knight to d7, and now castle. So here, well, theory has shown that white wins in the 62% of games. Many good players have played it. Kasparov versus Georgiou we are looking in. This has been played by Alexander Motilev also. Then Nikita Miorov, a strong player I think. Yeah, Yuri Yakovich, Boris Spassky versus Pia Krandling. So, well, Sethu Raman Vidit has also played it. Vidit Gujarati. So, many strong players have played this line. Yeah, the Queen's Indian is in the repertoire of many players, means many top players. h6, rook to d1, queen to c7, d5. Now Kasparov says, well, attack time. Why? Because this is attack time. In the little database there happened 1401. Now, well, e into d5 was played. E into d5, bishop into d5, bishop to b5, a6. Now, this is bad. Black isn't castling. He has to pay the price. I mean, he has to pay it. If you don't listen to Kasparov, you will be dominated by his pieces. I think in this position, Georgiou should have played bishop to c6 and a bishop to f4 and queen to c8, bishop into c6, queen into c6. Then he could safely castle. I mean, but now the chances are gone. Bishop to f4. Nice tactic. Queen into f4, bishop into d7, king into d7. Yuri Yakovich is also following the footsteps of Kasparov. Rook into d5 check. King to c7, rook to e1. Now this e7 bishop is under attack. So where can it move? To d6. So black moved it. Rook to f5. Now f7 is under attack again and again. So queen to c4, rook to e4, queen to b5, rook into f7 check, king to b8, rook to e6. If we see in this game, no sacrifice has happened. I mean, rook to d8, and now both players chose paths. In the game, Kasparov Florin played c4, and well, Yakovich versus Akison played c4. But in the other game, queen e4, then what happened? Bishop to c7. Oops, no game found. So if we insert it, looks like on the 26th move resigned. Yeah, so after c4, queen c6 was played, and at last the database goes away. Why? Because after the 25th move, it doesn't function because it has a limit of 25. So knight to e5, queen to c8, queen to b1. Now b6 is under attack, and with that, black resigned. Well, so brilliant game by Kasparov. He didn't do any sacrifice, like even here the material is equal. He just put pressure and the opponent mistaked. So going on to the next game, The next game is between Petrosian and Gligoric. Gligoric won this game. If we go at that time, Gligoric was like an underdog in the chess world. He was a very strong player, but he was underrated. Now bishop g7. It was the main weapon of Gligoric. There's even a variation named by his name, Gligoric variation in the King's Indian. e4, d6, bishop e2, castle, knight f3, e5 is the main line of the King's Indian. Castle. Thousands of games have been played. See, 26,000 games. If we go a little bit back, 39,000. If we go more back, 50,000. Then here 15,000, because it has transposed 15,000, 69, 67, 73, 111,778, 137,224, 398,352, and at the first move 550,781, and on d4 908, 461 games have been played. And in the starting position, 2 crore 551 lakh, well, 2 crore 5 lakh 25 lakh 19,908 games have been played here. So if we go back to our variation, so this variation is the main line of the King's Indian. So now castle, knight c6, d5, knight e7. Many games have been played, many reputed games like Carlsen. There was also the legendary game of, I think, Gelfand versus Hikaru, I think, and Gelfand versus Hikaru. So b4, the main line, which is called the bayonet attack. Knight h5. This is called as the one of the best refutations to the bayonet. Now knight d2, knight to f4, a4, f5. Boom, break in the center. If we see the variations, it's the bayonet attack continuing, and this game should appear because it was played in 1970. So if we go more, bishop to f3, g5, Raymond Keeney versus Lubomir Kavalik has been played here. Ilyas Mirin has also played this variation. He is an expert in the King's Indian. And then Joseph Gallagher, he is also a very reputed King's Indian player. So, well, now e into f5, knight into f5, g3, knight to d4, g into f4, knight into f3 check, knight into f3, sorry, queen into f3. Well, the master's database should be from 1970, yeah, 2023. So it still says no game found. 1952 is the date where it's set to, but still it says no game found. Why? It thinks that this game is not of the master, but it was, I mean, Petrosian is a world champion, and Gligoric, what to say about her style? A into f4. Now f3, bishop to e5, queen to h4, queen to h3, and now everything is just gone for white. It's too bad position. So bishop b2, bishop f5, rook fe1. The rook wants to sacrifice itself for the bishop. Why? Because these two bishops are very strong. I mean, very strong. So f3, knight d4, queen to h4, h3. Now bishop to e5, rook e3, g into h3. Now rook f7 and rook g7 check threads are looming here. Now queen into f3, bishop to g4, double attack on the queen from the f8 rook and also the g4 bishop. Queen to h1, the queen goes back to its passive square. There was no other choice. h2 check, king to g2, queen to h5, knight to d2, bishop to d4. Black is just crushing him like a python. So queen to e1, rook a8. Black slowly brings his pieces. Now rook into f2, h1 is equal to queen. Gligoric showed amazing style in this game. Knight c4, bishop into b2, rook to g3, only move. Bishop to e5 back, rook to a3, king to h8. Still the position is little bit messy, but black has a very strong attack and he is a pawn up also. So king to h1, rook to g8, queen to f1, bishop into g3, rook into g3, rook into e4. Nice tactic, and white resigned because he's 6 points down and black has a very strong attack. So brilliant game by Gligoric. So moving on. Today is World Civil Defense Day. World Civil Defense Day was passed by the International Civil Defense Organization, ICDO. So the theme of 2023 World Civil Defense Day is climate and change. They in this 2023 year they want to protect from diseases and also disasters. Natural disasters like volcanoes and then earthquakes. So well, the triangle is the symbol of the World Civil Defense Day. So these were the games. I hope you like it. I hope you like this video. Don't forget to hit the subscribe bell icon. Thank you.